Hello guys, Ancient Gameplays, I'm Fabio Pisco.
Oh!
As for this video, we're gonna do the kind of a remake of a video that I made a couple of years ago.
You're teasing me, you naughty.
In this case, the best settings for recording and streaming, but on this video, I'm actually adding more information. The previous one was only for AMD, and this one features AMD, NVIDIA, and even Intel. Or you can even record with your CPU, but we'll get there. Oh, and by the way, we're also featuring the Adrenalin app, the NVIDIA app, OBS, and Streamlabs desktop. Now it isn't called Streamlabs OBS, it is, just Streamlabs desktop. So several applications and several GPU brands. And if you're searching for recording and streaming settings, you most likely need a webcam, especially for streaming. And for that we have today's sponsor with an exceptional product. Today's sponsor is OBSBOT, with the OBSBOT Tiny to Lite that offers great video quality and is packed with lots of features, like 4K resolution with an half-inch CMOS sensor for an awesome low-light video quality and with great autofocus that will immediately lock on the item that you want to show. And starting with features, you have AI tracking that will literally make the camera move as you move around the room. As you can see, as soon as I move, the camera follows me, and if I go up, the camera still follows me. And look at this again, I can use 4K 30 FPS, which might be kind of stuttery for you, but I can also use 1080p 60, and if I go down, the camera follows me the same way. As you can see, this is my dog Nino. Also, if I do another gesture like this, I have a zoom in. I can actually do kind of a dynamic zoom in as well. I can do this. And as you can see, it's still focused on my face, and I'm like, I would say like 3 meters away. 3.5 meters away. And another great feature is the upper body. As soon as I move out of the picture or I go back there, it will still zoom in, or it will continuously zoom in order to show my upper body, and this is basically how it works. And again, you can do more things like lower body, zoom in, close up, whatever you want. It just works. So this is great for solo content creators, and there's a lot more, like the hand tracking that can be great for reviews as well. All these features are accessible through the OBSBOT Center, alongside many other like compositions, non-tracking areas, beauty mode, background blur, you name them. And all of these can be saved as presets, which makes the OBSBOT Tiny to Lite very easy to use in different scenarios. Use the link below to help the channel and get your OBSBOT Tiny to Lite. And since we're now running an AMD GPU, let's start with the AMD settings. As you can see, I'm recording with the AMD software already. And the first thing that you have to do in the Adrenalin software is go to the record and stream settings. Then you have record, live streams, scene editor, media, and so on. So let's first go to the settings. In this case, you need to enable desktop. Then you have the option to show or not the indicator, as you can see here on the top left corner, showing the minutes that I'm recording, then borderless region capture, and so on. Now, the first thing that you have to do is go to the recording FPS. In the past, you could only pick like 30 and 60 FPS, and now you can also pick 90 and 120. Now, for most case scenarios, you won't be needing more than 60 FPS, but if you're doing things like slow motion, for example, 90 and 120 FPS are actually very, very good solutions. For example, when I make side-by-side comparisons, let's say I will be testing XeSS 2.1 versus FSR 4, so doing those comparisons, when I make those movement comparisons with the characters attacking and so on, I record at 120 FPS in order for the slow motion to have more quality, because you'll have double the pixels in that same time frame, which is great. Double the frames, not the pixels. So in the pixels. Usually just select 60 FPS, especially if you're recording for yourself or if you're recording for YouTube. It's completely fine. As for the video bitrate is very important. So the resolution is kind of a canvas, and the video bitrate is kind of the ink. You have the canvas, but then you need information to fill the canvas. And that's exactly what the video bitrate is. You can have like 16K resolution, but if your video bitrate is really low, the image will be completely messed up. While you can get, for example, 1080p only, but if you have a very good video bitrate, the quality will be very good, especially in movement where you need more information since the image isn't still. Oh, sorry about that. So yes, for the recording resolution, you can pick the resolution here, but I usually pick in-game, and the software will automatically detect the resolution and record at that resolution, which is great for me. As for the video bitrate, well, I would say that recording at 1080p, you're completely fine with 30 Mbps. completely fine with 30. If you are recording at 1440p, I would advise at least 50 Mbps, and this is for a very good recording in terms of quality. At least I would call it decent. And if you're recording at 4K or at least higher than 1440p, I would advise at least 70 Mbps. This is what I advise. As for the audio bitrate, it usually may come something like 160, maybe 128, but I believe that the standard is kind of 160, or in some case scenarios 192. I advise it to keep it at least 192. I like to have it at 320 usually, especially when I'm recording audio, voice and so on. But yeah, if you can, or if your computer just handles it fine, just select the higher audio quality. And now we have the video encoding type, also known as codec. And in this case scenario, since I have an RX 9060 XT on the computer, a 9000 series, and this also applies if you have a 7000 series, you have AVC, which is H.264, then we have HEVC, which is H.265, and then we have AV1. In terms of, or in order of quality, I would say that we have AVC, then HEVC, then AV1, with AV1 bringing the best quality available. And if you want to see more of the side-by-side comparisons of AV1, AVC, HEVC, you have this video that I just made a couple of months ago where I test the 7900 XTX and the 9070 XT, because the 9000 series also had an improvement in terms of quality, codec-wise. And I'm comparing several video codecs again, HEVC, AV1 and so on, versus the two cards, and with several video bitrates, with really low video bitrates up to the higher ones. The results are actually very interesting, so you should check the video out. And of course you can also do live streaming, and for live streaming you do exactly the same. Streaming profile, you have several ones: adaptive, starting with low, medium, high, ultra, custom and then adaptive. I always advise to select the custom one. Then select the resolution. YouTube supports 4K, so if you have a 4K monitor, just go with 4K. If you have a 1440p monitor, just go with 1440p and so on. Just select the resolution of your monitor. In this case, it is a 4K one, so let's select 4K. As for the FPS, since we're now only streaming and not recording, we can only pick 30 or 60 FPS, which is a bummer, but it is what it is, I guess. As for the video bitrate, well, now it kind of depends on what service are you using. For example, I believe that Twitch only allows up to 6 Mbps or 8 Mbps, which is very low actually, and in most scenarios only 1080p, which is a bummer, but it doesn't really matter, because even if you select 4K resolution with a higher video bitrate, let's say like 70, or if your internet is slower, let's say 40 Mbps, if your internet is slower, is more than enough. Just do it, and yeah, I mean, the Twitch will kind of encode or compress your image quality anyway, so you'll be still streaming at 1080p and like 8 Mbps or something. But well, it's always better to have a higher quality source, because the compressed file of the higher quality source will always look better. That's basically how it works. So I would say if your internet is not that fast, at least 30 Mbps would bring very good quality, at least for 4K. If you're going for 1080p, 8 Mbps, well, yeah, the quality isn't that great, and then the codec will make the difference. Sadly, when going for AMD software live streaming, you can't really pick the codec, and the only codec that works with live streaming on the AMD software is the AVC one, the H.264, which is the lower quality one. With the RX 9000 series, the quality have improved significantly with the H.264, but it is still not as good as it should be. I mean, not even NVIDIA's H.264 is fine, if you ask me. So yeah, AV1 should be the way for every low video bitrate that we can, or that we should see, or that we can use. I mean, Twitch, just stop with a low video bitrate. It's 2025, just stop it. Oh, and by the way, you have an enhanced filtering option that you can use, since you can only use H.264 in terms of streaming quality, AMD added the enhanced filtering option in order to deliver better quality. Of course that you now have better quality with the RX 9000 series, but still you can go further with enhanced filtering, which according to AMD improves encoding compression and resulting image quality through filtering of imperceptible details from the source image. And then you have the media option where you select where you want to save your recorded files. And I guess that's all for the AMD software. And I could tell you more about the live stream option where you can select an account. Then you have the scene editor where you can select the camera position, the size and so on. But again, this video is focusing on the settings for recording and streaming on several cards and several softwares. And since I showed you the AMD settings for recording, at least on the AMD app, now we're going into the NVIDIA settings with the NVIDIA app. Firstly, you open your NVIDIA settings, and then you go here to the overlay. You can also press Alt+Z, by the way. Then we have the gallery here, the record, instant replay, screenshot, photo mode, and so on. And by the way, I believe that the NVIDIA software doesn't allow you to live stream with the software itself. It's just for you to know. What you want to do here is go to the settings. Then you have several ones like heads-up display, notification, video capture, and so on. Heads-up display is basically what shows you the display. For example, if I go upper center, as you can see, FPS, GPU, CPU, etc., etc. You can use it or not. I personally don't really like to use it, so I go to the statistics and I disable them. But again, settings, then you have the video capture, and you have the option to do the desktop capture or not. By the way, if the desktop capture isn't enabled, as soon as you press Alt plus F9, it will ask you if you want to record the desktop. If of course you're in the desktop, otherwise it will just start recording. Also, you can choose the instant replay length. This is basically an automatic feature that you have on the NVIDIA side. AMD also has something similar, which basically kind of automatically records the highlights of certain games. It kind of supports games like Counter-Strike 2, games like PUBG, and it automatically detects the highlights and then records them automatically in order for you to do some video editing later. As for the output format, now we have quality presets with low, automatically decreasing the Mbps to 60, then we have medium at 75, and then we have the high settings at 90 Mbps. And then all we have is custom. As for the resolution, we have the same as on the AMD side. You can select in between in-game. Basically, the software chooses the resolution automatically according to the resolution that you're using inside your game or your desktop or whatever. Then you have 360p, 480p, 720p, 1080p, 1440p, 4K, and 8K as well. As for the frame rate, you have 30 FPS, 60 FPS and 120 FPS. Well, the AMD settings don't allow you to choose 8K, but they do allow you to go, for example, to 90 and 120, while on the NVIDIA app you can only select 30, 60 and 120 without the option of 90. As for the codec, we have H.264/AGVC, which is H.264/H.265, and it will only use the better codec, the AGVC, if you're using HDR or a resolution higher or equal to 4K, which makes absolutely no sense. You should be able to select either codec independently of the resolution and so on. So H.265/AGVC, while on the AMD side you can select them independently, and then you have AV1, at least AV1 we can select independently. And by the way, I didn't tell you this before, but according to my video, if you actually watch my video comparing the codecs and so on, you can see that for example, AV1 compared to H.264, AV1 can go with lower video bitrate because AV1 is a better codec and the codec works kind of translating the quality. And if you have an algorithm that translates or encodes or kind of reads the information better, the output image will also be better, and that's basically what the codec does. I would advise you to use AV1, of course, but if you're using very high video bit rates, let's say 60, 70, 100 and so on, the difference won't really be noticeable. But if you are using low video bit rates like 10, 20, 30, in order to save some space, then the codec is important and AV1 is the way to go. Now with OBS, which is one of the most used software for streaming and recording that I can find on planet Earth. Maybe aliens use another one. As for this one, well, you have several scenes, you have several sources. For example, you have the display capture. You can go here and add, let's say, a camera. And here we have our camera following us, basically wherever we want to go. which is great. And let's start for the options. Let's go to File Settings. Let's first start with the video settings, and you have the base canvas resolution and the output scaled resolution. Well, nowadays almost everyone uses the GPU to stream instead of the CPU, and the GPU streaming isn't that really that heavy on the GPU anymore. The GPUs are getting stronger and stronger, and they now bring hardware encoders and decoders for streaming, recording, and so on. So the toll that it takes on the GPU side isn't really that big. And if you have a 4K monitor, you can just go, for example, and select 4K as the base canvas resolution, and then imagine that you are uploading to Twitch that doesn't really support 4K, or at least didn't before. You can just go and select a scaled resolution to 1080p. In my opinion, I just wouldn't do it. It's 2025, just upload that 4K anyway. That's at least what I do, but again, I don't really upload to Twitch, I only upload to YouTube, and I did live streams before at 4K, no issues. So this is it, and then we have common values in terms of FPS, 10, 20, 24, whatever, 50, 60. I always select 50, but you can select other ones like 120. I believe it should work. And by the way, I tested it after making the video, and it just doesn't work. It kind of changes into variable refresh rate, and then it goes to like 45 FPS instead of doing the 120. Just letting you know. Then we have the output settings, on which we have the streaming, recording, audio, and so on. Let's go to the recording first. The recording path, nothing unusual here. Then we have the recording format, which can be changed as well from MP4, MKV, QuickTime, fragmented MP4. We have several options. In my opinion, you can just leave it in MKV, which is perfectly fine. And in terms of recording loss data, it is considerably better. In terms of the encoder, we go back to the same. You can use the same encoder as you're using for streaming. You can use AMD hardware AV1, AMD hardware H.264, as I told you, AVC, and AMD hardware H.265, as I told you as well, HEVC. And then we have AOM AV1, SVT AV1, and X.264. Now, these three last options, they use the CPU for encoding instead of the AMD hardware or the NVIDIA hardware, meaning that they will take a big toll on your CPU. If you don't really have these options, if you're using, let's say, an hardware that doesn't really support these options, or if you have a CPU, let's say, with a lot of cores, like when I say with a lot of cores and threads, I mean like at least 24 threads, because again, it's 2025, then you can just stream or record with your CPU, because you have those threads not doing anything, or 32 threads, more than that, 64 threads, then go ahead and just record or stream with your CPU. But if you're having like 612, 816 cores, use the hardware. It's a much better option, because again, the performance cost that it has nowadays is really low. As for the audio encoder, you can also change it from AAC to FLAC, 16-bit, PCM, 32-bit float. 32-bit float would be the best usually, in order for you to kind of change the amount of gain and so on without losing, or without, I'm missing like the English naming schemes here, but yeah, without having issues with the audio. Let's say that this is the best quality that you can get, but in like 99% of times, unless you're an audiophile or something, AAC will be completely fine. And then in terms of the encoder, we go back to the same. Now we have the video bitrate. Before we had the codec and the resolution, and now we go to the video bitrate. And remember, the bitrate is the information that goes into the canvas. And the bigger the canvas, in this case, the bigger the resolution, the more information you need to fill those pixels, because if those pixels don't have enough information to fill them up, you'll have a crappy image with lots of pixelation as you move your camera. It might look okay when standing still, but as soon as you start messing around with the mouse, let's say you're recording Counter-Strike 2 gameplay, as soon as you start shooting and moving really fast, you'll have lots of pixelation, because you don't have enough video bitrate. So if that's happening to you, just increase the video bitrate and the quality will immediately increase. I would advise, again, for 1080p, 30 Mbps, so 30, 1, 2, 3, 30,000. If you're going for 1440p 50, so 50,000 kbps, or if you're going to 4K, 70,000 kbps. Basically that's how it works, and you can select the key interval, the preset quality will be more than fine, but again, if it is taking a big toll on your GPU, you can just select the speed options, but the quality won't be that great. Then you have balance, high quality. Quality usually works for me, so for the general user, I wouldn't really mind about it. As for the B-frames, what I understand is that the B-frames will kind of reduce your video file size and maybe increase the quality a bit, but they will also take a bigger toll on your GPU in terms of recording. So the standard is 2 B-frames, and usually it works fine for me, but you can select just 1 or 0 if you want to, or even 10. 10 doesn't really work. The maximum B-frames are 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, the maximum number is 5 B-frames, but usually 2 is the standard and works very well. You can go down for 1 or 0. Maybe the quality won't be as good, but the toll taken on your GPU won't be as high. You give with one hand, but you take with another. That's how it works. Nothing is perfect after all. And now we go to streaming. For example, here it is connected account to Twitch. If you select Twitch, it will show you the limiting factor of Twitch. And as we go to recording, on Twitch we can only use X264, which is the CPU encoder, or the hardware H264, which is ABC. I heard that Twitch was going to support AV1 very soon. Maybe it is still on beta, but yeah, through OBS at least it doesn't. As for the video bitrate, let's see. I believe that the maximum that they had was like 8, 6, whatever, but you can just go here and select 50 and it will work. Twitch will just compress your video quality, but again, the higher the video quality of the source, the higher the video quality of the output, even if it is compressed. In this case, you can only use AVC, but if you go to stream and select, let's say, YouTube, you can see that you can now select AV1 and AGVC. So it isn't that the AMD cards don't support these codecs for streaming, it is just that the streaming service doesn't work with them. Twitch is kind of stuck in 2014. Oh, but I forgot about one thing, which is the rate control, where you can select CBR, which is constant bitrate. Then you have CQP, which I don't really know what it is, but usually you select in between CBR and VBR, which is variable bitrate. And variable bitrate will kind of vary, of course, the video bitrate according to the image. Let's say that, for example, you have a really dark image. You don't really need that amount of information to fill those pixels because the pixels are all dark. But if you have a really bright image with a lot of detail, you'll have more video bitrate, or you'll need more video bitrate to fill those same pixels. So what happens is that with constant bitrate, it will just keep the 50 Mbps all the time. If you select variable bitrate with 50 Mbps, it will sometimes be at 50, in other times it might be at 30, and this is just good for one thing: file size. Since in some scenarios the video bitrate will be quite lower, your file size will also be smaller. So if you have low storage, VVR might be actually useful. If you want a normal recording or streaming experience, just go with VBR or CBR and you'll be completely fine, believe me. As for the OBS settings with the NVIDIA cards, it is exactly the same. You just go to the file, settings, then in this case on the video we have only 1440p because this monitor is 1440p instead of 4K. And in terms of recording, the only thing that changes is that instead of having the AMD hardware AV1 and so on, you have the NVIDIA Nvme AV1, NVIDIA Nvme H264 and NVIDIA Nvme AGVC, which is exactly the same. So these are the hardware-sided encoders on the GPU. These AOM AV1, SVT AV1 and X264 use the CPU. So if you have lots of cores, go ahead and use these. If you want a more efficient streaming and so on with very minimal performance loss, use the encoders hardware-sided on the GPU. I advise AV1. And by the way, this works the same way on Twitch with NVIDIA. If we go to the streaming options, you can see that the only video encoding option that we have is H264, which is a bummer. Twitch needs to update to AV1 ASAP. As soon as you go to the streaming service and you choose YouTube, you then go to the output settings, streaming, and you can now select AV1 and AGVC. It is not that the NVIDIA card can't do AV1 and AGVC while streaming, it is just that Twitch doesn't really allow it, so it is what it is. And the final software tested is Streamlabs Desktop, which is the one that I use personally when I'm doing live streams. And it is not that Streamlabs Desktop is better, it is just that in my opinion it is easier to use and brings more default animations that you can use for the viewer counts and so on. It's basically the ease of use. As for the settings, it is basically the same as you saw before. We have streaming, recording, and one of the things that I don't like about the Streamlabs Desktop is if we go to the recording, you need to select, by the way, you need to select the advanced mode in order to have the streaming and recording and audio settings all separate. You can go to the recording settings with an AMD GPU, and you can go with software, AMD hardware, AGVC, H.264. You can't really use AV1, but at least H.265 you can use, which is okay, I would say. Then you can use AOM AV1 CPU-wise and SVT AV1. But as soon as you go to the streaming options, even though that I'm using YouTube, if I go to streaming, as you can see, I'm just using and logged into YouTube. On the streaming, I can only select the CPU encoders, AV1 CPU encoders, or X.264, or AMD hardware H.264. Yeah, I just wanted to use a GVC or AV1, and I can't. Not because the streaming service doesn't support it, because YouTube supports it, just because the software doesn't. And that's a bummer with Streamlabs Desktop. But it is what it is, I guess. As for the rate control, again, we have the same CBR, VBR, and all the others. You can select either CBR or VBR. As for the video bitrate, it is exactly the same. I usually use 70,000 or 50,000, which is basically 50 Mbps or 70 Mbps. Then you have keyframe interval, the preset, profiles, and maximum number of B-frames. As for the audio, again, just go with 192 or if you can 320. And of course, on the NVIDIA cards, it is exactly the same. You just go to video, select the resolution, and in this case, we have 1440p because that's our main resolution. You can select the downscale filter, that won't be used here because the resolution is the same. Then you go to the output and you have streaming, recording, and so on. It's exactly the same recording settings. You can use the stream encoder. We have X.264, H.264, H.264 new, which is something that we don't really have on the AMD side, Nvme AGVC, Nvme AV1. And I believe this is the only difference when it comes to Streamlabs OBS. Maybe a more efficient version of AGVC. Let's go, for example, to the streaming mode. On the streaming mode, we have the same H.264 and H.264 new. And if we go to the stream services, and instead of YouTube, we pick Twitch, and then we go again to the video, in this case to the output, sorry. And in terms of encoding, we have a bug saying AV1 and Nvme, which shouldn't be supported by Twitch. But it seems that if you do this and kind of change in between one or another, it works. Maybe this would work for streaming. If it doesn't, just pick the new version of H.264, and again, it'll be more than fine. Hope you enjoyed this video, this little tutorial. I hope that, I know that lots of people don't really have any, well, they don't really want to watch these kind of videos. Usually the videos don't really get that much attention when they are released, but they do get attention over time where people are actually asking or searching for the topic. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I hope this video really helped you knowing what are the best settings for recording and live streaming for you guys, because it also depends on the resolution, as I told you, depends on the codec that you're using. If you're using a better codec, you won't really need to go with such a high video bitrate, because as you can see in some videos that I made, again, testing codecs and so on, AV1 with 40 Mbps might have the same quality as, let's say, AGVC with 30 Mbps or AVC with 20 Mbps. Meaning that you can go lower on the file size, you can go lower on the GPU toll if you select a better codec. One more time, thank you very much for watching the video. If you have any doubts, leave them in the comment section. As usual, I'll answer as fast as I can, and see you in the next video. Cheers.